Oh, I think we are live. It's a Down Beach Buzz podcast, the webcast for June 5, 2024, the DownnbeachBUZZ.com podcast. Sherry Lilienfeld of EXP is here. Paul Skolage, he's from Rate. Well, actually, he's from Guaranteed Rate. You can find him at rate.com. And Down Beach Buzz, just go to DownbeachBUZZ.com. Make sure you get on our email newsletter. You just pop your email address right there. We have our brand new schedule of all the concerts, all the great happenings here. Just click on that and open it up. You know where those calendar of events will be, whether it's Parrot Beach with Jimmy Buffett or Margate Beach Stock or the Newport Beach concerts, which are great. Just look for the smiling face, like a beacon of Sherry Lilienfeld of EXP right there on the right side of the screen. Right, Sher? She has to smile. And we got some new stories. It's very exciting. Just dig a little deeper in your pockets because the Down Beach Express is going to up the rates coming up on June 17th. It happens every 2 or 3 years. That's very exciting because you got to fix the roads. And we really do. And if I go back and
did they say the rate? What's it going to be?
Another 25 cents for cash for the cash people. Well, just read Down Beach Buzz. All the details are right there.
It's all there.
I do read it. I even commented. If you saw it, yesterday I was on and I was commenting on things.
Well, even my new intern, I have Zach. He's been with us for a long time, and we just hired Nanette. She's also helping us out here on the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast. We got some stories. Margate Gardens, your good friend, with that great wine and spirits place right down there on the border of Longport and Margate. The Liberty gas station, we're going to turn that into a parking lot. Margate's going to buy it. We'll talk about that. But Barbara Capozzi, I love my friends from EXP Realty, Sherry being one, and Barbara Capozzi from Renaissance Estates. Barbara, she actually has a place in Longport, and she's a developer with her and her husband. She has this great whole bunch of super high quality, high end townhouses at Packer Park, right in South Philly, right over the bridge. And it's very exciting. I'm thinking, who would want that? That's people that maybe are downsizing from their big giant estate in Bucks County. They have a place in Longport or Margate and Longport or in Ventnor. And they need a place that's closer, maybe within an hour, back and forth. And that's what they say. It's 5 minutes from the Walt Whitman Bridge. Why don't we take a quick look and meet the other EXP lovely of my life? As I love anybody from EXP Realty. Here we go. So let's meet Barbara Capozzi.
Hi, I'm Barbara Capozzi, and I'm here to welcome you to Renaissance Estates, a beautiful development in Packer Park, South Philadelphia. I'd like to explain to you the 3 most important features that define a perfect home, and we have them all 3 here at Renaissance Estates. 1, it's all about the location. It always was, and it always will be. We are here in beautiful Packer Park, which is green, safe, convenient, and accessible. We're adjacent to luscious FDR Park, a short walk to the sports complex, 7 minutes to International Airport, a short Uber ride to Center City, and 5 minutes to the Walt Whitman Bridge. 2nd, it's all about the extraordinary quality of the construction outside. We did this so that future issues would be avoided. The exterior frameworks of these homes were built indoors in a computerized, climate-controlled environment. Once brought on site, the structures were up and covered immediately. No water has ever penetrated these homes, unlike with traditional construction. Number 3, it's all about attention to detail inside. We've gone above and beyond with our features. Sub-Zero and Wolf appliances, which are top of the line, high-end European-style kitchen cabinets, plus all tile and hardwood flooring supplied by Porcelanosa. We have a large elevator, 4-person capacity, wheelchair accessible, that stops on all 5 floors, from the lower level to the owner's suite on the 4th level. There's dual zone, high capacity, energy efficient heating and cooling systems, double assurance that your home will be cool or warm at the push of a button. Large 2-car garage with entrance directly into the home. We have 3,200 square feet of luxury living, 3 large bedrooms, 3.5 baths, a large lower level that can be a 4th bedroom, or it can be a den, gym, home office, or kids' playroom. We have a few quick delivery homes remaining where all selections have been installed, and then we have a few homes available where buyers can make every one of the selections themselves, cabinets, tiling, and flooring. Full 10-year tax abatement, tax on the ground only for 10 years. We have the ideal location, masterful construction inside and out, and we look beautiful while doing all this. For more information, please go online to packerparknewhomes.com and call me directly at 215-551-5100 to schedule a private tour at your convenience. Thank you.
So, Cher, when you going to downsize, get rid of your big giant mansion up there in Margate and downsize to a nice townhome. When's that going to happen?
When the kids stop coming to Margate in the summers with their friends to go to the beach and go to the great restaurants and places the youngsters like to go, the youngsters in their 20s. And no, not anytime soon. But
so Paul, maybe good. But
no, I know. I wanted to say, so, when I spoke to Barbara, first of all, I just want to point out one thing that really intrigued me about these. I know she was very careful not to use like the word modular, but that's really what she was saying when she said that the interiors were built indoors and never touched rain. And people don't realize you could build a hotel modularly, and to me, it does make the most sense from construction because it is all climate controlled under very controlled conditions. And I think that's great because it doesn't allow for, you say down here, people, they frame out a house and then it rains and it's just not good. But I think that was a fabulous idea. And so I'm sure it's super quality if they took that time to do that. The other thing I wanted to say is I did speak to Barbara, and there are 6 left. There's 14 total and 6 left. So that's the other thing I just wanted to mention.
So, Paul, maybe I'm going to get rid of my mansion up in Montgomery County, and I have to give you a call over in Brigantine and find you at rate.com. What are my options, knowing that I have a $2 million home I'm going to sell, or maybe I'm going to downsize? What are some of my options? Paul Skolage from Guaranteed Rate.
It's it's funny. I actually lived in Grad Hospital, which is pretty close to this area. It's a very popular area for people that are looking to downsize, get out of the city. Get out of the suburbs, go into the city, empty nester type thing. Hopefully they have the opportunity to buy it in cash if it's available. If not, there's different programs. You can look at interest-only programs where they want to have a lower monthly payment because they're just in a different age bracket where they know that they're not going to outlive that 30-year loan. So there's interest-only loans you can borrow against your retirement and your 401k. If you have an existing house today that you're going to be departing, you can actually do a reverse mortgage. So there's several different options available. The good thing is it's a townhouse development and it's not labeled as a condo development. Two things differ from that. One is pricing in terms of rates, and then the other is that deferred maintenance that we spoke about a long time before. Since it's labeled as a townhouse, the guidelines in getting loans done in that development are much easier.
Seeing a lot of people downsizing from their big home they've been in, raising kids for the past 25 years. Paul, we see a trend that way for.
I absolutely do, and I've actually. It's funny because I've talked to barbers that are in the suburbs, and they say, "Hey, I'm going to go and buy a 2-bedroom studio in the city, right?" But their house they own up here in Pennsylvania is free and clear. But they need the equity from that house to be able to buy the new one in cash. So at that stage, you can do a line of credit or a home equity loan on your current house, buy the new one in cash, and once you sell your departing residence, you can pay that off, which is an option on a HELOC program.
So what are my options now, Paul? It seems like things have stabilized a little bit. At least that's my sense in regards to mortgage rates. What are the most common inquiries you're getting right now? And what's the best you can do for somebody with excellent credit for a 30-year fixed? Or is that still common? Or are people considering adjustables or 3-2-1 buy downs? What's keeping you busy?
Yeah, so we had an unbelievable April and May in closing months. Actually, June's going to be probably bigger than the other two. A lot of people are still buying primary residence. These people are the ones that are either downsizing, upsizing, school districts, death. We talked about that before, but there are several people that are still in the market to buy. The problem that these poor buyers are facing right now is we've talked about it probably for the last 16 months with the lack of inventory It's just driving the demand up, which in turn is driving the cost up for these properties. People are just, in a lot of cases, unfortunately, overpaying for real estate right now. Now, the flip side is when they sell, they'll probably make up some of that difference, if not all of the difference. But, right now it's a very challenging market. First-time home buyers are the ones that are really suffering because of the fact that, they're going in with 3% down or 5% down on a purchase, where there's competition is 20% down, 25% down. Cash. I mean, my last couple of transactions that we did yesterday, borrowers had to go in and waive their mortgage contingency. They basically waived everything. So they're defaulting on their earnest money deposit. If they can't get a loan, they lose their deposit money. So it's a very unique time, things that we haven't seen since I've been in the business, and borrowers have to go to the extreme to get things accepted. Fortunately, like you said, rates are definitely starting to trend in the right fashion. We're stabilizing. We're not seeing the up and down curves that we've seen in the past. We're consistent in that, 6.75 to like 7.25 price range with interest rates. I do expect, the Fed to continue their potential rate cut for this year. They still anticipate 2 or 3. I highly doubt that. We would be lucky to see one rate cut, which we'll take, which I think will set us up for a really good 2025, even during the winter. So I'm looking forward to the end of this year and into next year, but we're finally starting to see some stabilization in rates.
And of course, with inflation, it's just not about prices going up. We seem to keep printing money and putting money here and there. I even think there's COVID-19 money still hanging around somewhere in Trenton. Phil Murphy always finds a few extra million for something. Does that affect the interest rates? I'm assuming it does, Paul.
It absolutely does. So just printing the money on that side of things, where our inflation is still high. It's not to where they need to get. They're talking about getting into like the upper 2s or middle 2% in order to start to really cut rates. When it comes, I think it's going to come pretty fast. But the delay and the stall of getting to that right inflation number. This week's a big week. We have a lot of data that comes out that's going to sway us in the right direction. I'm really hoping that we start to see some type of pullback on inflation, jobs numbers, and all of these things come into play this week. So, I'm optimistic. I really think the third, fourth quarter are going to be good, and I expect, Q1 of 2025 to really have a good start off to it.
And how about you, Sustainable Sherry, aka Sherry Lilienfeld of EXP? How are interest rates affecting you right now? You always say, well, most of the people are cash buyers down the shore. It seems there's a lot of merit in that, but aren't they sometimes leveraging other assets somewhere else, converting it to cash, so they're still leveraging their equity of sorts, whether it's in gold or stock market or real estate or what?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, look, this is a predominantly second home market that we're in at the shore. And Paul said it earlier that there's all these programs where people can borrow against their equity in their home or their retirement account, their 401k. I hate to say the same thing again and again. I mean, our biggest challenge is the inventory and the price of what's on the inventory. So to me, the biggest driver here is really the price. You had me look into what was happening at the zoning, at the city level in Margate, and the number of permits for demolition versus the number of new construction permits. So in a 7-month period, starting from October through April, 65 new construction permits. 65. Margate's a small town. Like, there aren't that many properties here. We're a few miles wide. It's not a big 65 new construction permits.
But how does that compare? Put that in context with other times, other neighborhoods. Is there a sense? Because I'm not even sure if that's a lot or a little to a amateur like me.
That's a lot for the area.
Yeah, it's a lot for the area. I mean, I don't have a number. I didn't ask for a number from a different period of time, but there aren't that many houses here. There's like 2,500 single family homes. And then of close to 7,000 residential properties. I mean, 65 in a 7-month period.
That's
and our average price is still close to 3 million, and that's high. So I think, again, going back to what you asked me about, Paul, it's not the interest rates, it's the price of the homes and the buyers out there. I mean, even though they're going to borrow after their retirement, they don't want to take 3 million. They'll take 2, but not 3.
Remember back in the day, the average mean nice house in Margate was about 875-ish. And even if Paul was offering a 7% or an 8%, that would be doable for the average family. Is that not true, or what?
No, I mean, not an $800,000 mortgage. I mean, it's crazy to think a first-time home buyer buying a $300,000 house today, there's about an $800 difference in payment today from where we were during the COVID timeframe. So you're going from, let's say, $3,200 a month to $2,600 or $2,400. It's a shame, because again, they're the ones that are suffering in this market. And once something comes up, things don't last long. I mean, in Pennsylvania, it's absolutely insane. If you're on the market more than 5 days, it's too long. Something's wrong with the house.
Well, or it's not priced right, because look, and I was looking at, I love my statistics. I was looking at the Margate inventory, and of the 49 homes listed, 12 of them had price reductions. Well, that 12 is 24.4% of the homes that are listed. They reduced the price. Again, it's always about the pricing. Priced right, you will sell in any market. But if you're not priced right, you actually are hurting yourself, and you're not going to sell fast. So it's still an art, and you still have to price well. And the homes in Pennsylvania, they must be doing better at pricing than they are here.
Well, it's crazy. They're pricing them right, but there are people there. I don't. And we closed 33 loans last month, and I would say 3 loans actually went in once they sold at the actual sale price. 30 loans went over asking.
That's crazy. I mean, not so much seeing that here, but again, it's a whole.
It's just a different market, right? It's a whole different market, but.
All right,
I need a 5 in front of the interest rates. That's what we're looking for. Give me a 5.
Oh yeah. So just again, Paul, talk about, when the interest rates go down, if someone does a loan through guaranteed rate, what you're able to do, like within the first year or 2, if those rates go down, in terms of readjusting that rate.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that we offer. One of the key things that is great is that, a lot of people, are buying a property without selling. And once they sell their house, they have all this money that they want to then apply to the mortgage, right? They can do that. That's called a recast, where you can take the equity from the sale of your departing residence. After you have purchased the new one, you own the new one, you've been in the new house for 2 or 3 months. Now you want to lower your monthly payment and lower your loan amount. You can do a recast. You give me a minimum of $10,000, and we readjust your loan amount with the same interest rate. It's a flat fee of anywhere between $250 to $500. However, we're going to offer basically a lender-free refinance, where we will cover all of your lender fees for any refinance that you do with us after the purchase transactions happen. And I'm projecting anywhere between 18 and 20 months, when the rates come down to where it makes sense, we're going to set you up for that refinance. One of the things, though, too, is you're going to see several lenders try to tell people to refinance when you can save 0.75% or 0.5% in rate, which absolutely doesn't make sense. You need to save a minimum of 0.75 to a point in interest rate. And if you're doing 0.75, it's got to be a high-end loan amount, or it's got to be something that you've recently just purchased. You don't want to go back and add additional principal or additional years onto it. But the key in the industry is saving 1% reduction. That sets you up to where it makes sense, because your payment's going to go down. You actually can refinance into as many years as you have left on your loan. So if you have 28 years left, you can go back into a 28-year term, which is unique because it was never available before. So You will absolutely refinance on anything that you purchase here or within the next 6 months.
All right. I think we are next story on the Down Beach Buzz Real Estate Webcast. We cover in Lower Chelsea in Atlantic City, a hot, great new neighborhood that out of nowhere, everybody's realizing, hey, Lower Chelsea in Atlantic City is the place to be. There's nowhere else to go, it seems. You got Ventnor, Longport, Margate, even Brigantine, some great opportunities over there as well. This little sleepy part of South Jersey waking up big time. It's been that way for the past 5-10 years, if not even crazier over the past 2 years. Let's talk crazy. Paul, you want to, and Sherry, so there's this move where the city of Margate wants to spend a few million in buying out this gas station on Ventnor Avenue in Margate. It's a central business district. And right next to it is the Margate Burger Truck, and they're going to develop some new stuff there. Let's listen to the audio if we can. And the title here is Margate wants to buy and then convert a gas station into a parking lot. It's on DownnbeachBUZZ.com. And if you go there, you're going to be able to listen to the Margate commissioners discuss this resolution to consider bonding or borrowing or maybe using a grant or taxing people to go out and spend $2.3 million, maybe $3 million on this parking lot. I'm sorry, a gas station, which will be raised and mitigated and then made into a parking lot. So let's listen to 2.5 minutes of what the Margate commissioners and John Scott Abbott talk about here in regards to the gas station takeover, Margate considering turning it into a parking lot.
Mayor Collins?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
Commissioner Horn?
Here.
Resolution 156-2024. Explain to us what that is.
This is a first step, official step to moving to purchase the gasoline station, which I would know as Taylor's, we all would know as Taylor's, to be utilized as a municipal parking lot. This letter of intent will allow Jim Rotella to present that to a state in time for a grant application. The deal will not be contingent upon obtaining the grant application, as I understand it. That is spelled out in the letter of intent. There will subsequently be an agreement of sale that the commissioners have to agree upon. There has to be an ordinance authorizing the purchase. And of course, there has to be funding available, whether you do that by bonding, grant, most likely a combination, hopefully a combination. And so this is a first step towards acquiring that site.
Good. So just for clarification, we're very early on in the process here. There's been no conversations related to how much we're going to pay, what we're going to pay. Are we even going to pay?
No, there's a price. There's a dollar.
Okay,
amount,
so
$3 million.
The idea is that this letter of intent does not obligate us to anything as it relates to buying this piece of property.
It is subject to an agreement of sale being approved by the governing body, which will require the ability to have monies to pay for it, whether it be by authorization of bonding or a grant or a combination.
Okay.
The grant is written that we have to have a means to purchase it, but we cannot have possession of the property before the grant is awarded. So this letter of intent is designed with the help of Jim Rotella to time it so the grants are awarded before we know, before we would go to closing.
So what I'd really like to do is get your signature on the resolution by tomorrow morning, and the letter of intent, I should say, the letter of intent, and get Taylor's signature on and give that right away to Jim Rotella so he can submit it to the state.
Yeah, so the process has been a number of months, and the deadline for this grant keeps getting pushed back. It was originally January, then it was May, now it's next Monday. So the timing of this is very important so that we can move forward with that application.
So, Miss Lillian Feld and Paul Scollage on the Down Beach Buzz podcast. My first thought listening to this is that Maury Blumberg, one of the commissioners, he's the head of the Department of Revenue and Finance. Seems like he just heard about this resolution to spend $2.3 million on this gas station. So Maury was kind of out of the loop. You would think that he would know all of that stuff, but he was out I guess, kind of surprised at this. And then Sherry, because you have a background in chemical engineering, mitigation, anything underneath a gas station with gas and oil and car repairs, that could be an issue. And I did get a copy. The good folks over there at Margate, Johanna does a great job of she's a great city clerk. If you Oprah requests something, she's always pretty quick and get you the stuff.
Yeah.
But if you take a look here at the letter of intent prepared by our esteemed city solicitor of Margate, John Scott Abbott, due diligence, it's acknowledged, and I'm going to have Sherry comment on this in a moment. The due diligence that's in the letter of intent from the city of Margate, penned by John Scott Abbott, it's acknowledged that the subject property is currently involved in a long-term fuel contamination remediation effort, which is the responsibility of a major oil company. So it's not even the owners, the Taylors, I guess. It's another party to this. They're responsible. I'm wondering if they're on board with that. The seller shall furnish to the buyer or the buyer's agents copies of any and all environmental reports and correspondence pertaining to said contamination and remediation efforts. Buyer shall have 30 days to analyze the status of said environmental condition. The seller will have to cooperate with the furnishings of all information the seller may have pertaining to this contamination. I've been calling it mediation, but it's remediation. Sherry, the thing that jumps out here, and then you'll comment on this, and maybe Paul will as well, if all of a sudden somebody came to Paul saying, I need some financial help here to acquire this property. It says here that it's the responsibility, the remediation of this contamination, cleaning it all up, is the responsibility of a major oil company. Your thoughts, Sherry Lilienfeld?
Yeah, that jumped out at me too, because as you said, normally it's the owner who is responsible. So yeah, that's very odd, but that's very good, because if it's a major oil company, they have the money.
But do you think they want to help clean this up?
Well, I mean, again, you don't know all the details and lawsuit, how it was determined that the major oil company is responsible. I mean, I'm guessing like that to me almost sounds like they were filling the tank, the tank underground, and they just kept on filling it, and
let it go.
It just kept going. And if that's the case, so when you have oil contamination, there's two things you look at, and especially on our island. One is it just in the soil, or did it hit the groundwater? Because if it hit the groundwater, that's a big, major cleanup, because that means it's spread. Think about it. The oil's going down to the groundwater level, and then the water is moving. So that's a big deal. And it's odd to me that they're saying that they're remediating that, because it doesn't look like from the picture anything's happening there. So I don't know. I just have more questions than answers. Like, what kind of contamination is it? What level? And how they got the major oil company to pay for that? Like, what happened? So
sure, you're a taxpayer of Margate. Do you look forward to chipping in to purchase this property and convert it into a parking lot for the city?
Well, I really think, look, in support of our local businesses and everything, we really do need parking. And you and I were talking earlier that it's kind of on the wrong side of town, because the parking's needed on the other side of town, but the city maybe they'll have a shuttle service. The other thing is, like, if you look in New York City, when they take a small area and they make a parking lot, they actually have different levels, and they can move cars around and put more cars in too, because we need a lot of parking. I don't know how many spots it can hold. So I would like to see something like that. We can get a lot of parking and probably shuttling to the other parts of town, so people who need parking can get it.
I expect it to be built up like levels, just like New York, probably at the height elevation, which in Brigantine, I think is 35 or 37 feet, where you can have multiple layers and you can have several hundred cars in there.
Paul, how do you deal? Are you able to help somebody who wants to buy this property, especially knowing what you know about potential contamination under the surface? How do you deal with somebody walking into your office?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a residential guy. There's several commercial people that we operate with, but it is a major issue with what's underneath the ground, right? That's going to have to be completely removed. The tanks, that's a whole process in itself. And I just, in my experience with tanks in residential financing, it can be a mess. And once you peel that onion back and start looking, several other things pop out, and it can be an absolute disaster. But it's a straight commercial loan. Typically, you're 20 or 25% down, and you can borrow the rest. They're a 5-year term where it's fixed for 5 years, and then it balloons and adjusts every 5th year. Rates today are pretty competitive on that side of the plate, though, versus what the conforming side is.
But if there was the perfect potential buyer, the perfect potential suitor for this property,
Sherry would buy it. Let Sherry buy it.
Well, what I'm saying is that how many people want to take that risk knowing that there's something underneath that could cause an issue, even though this location is superior. It's a great, great, great location. But is it lucky or just a coincidence that the city of Margate, who has the financial wherewithal, they can step up and buy it, and they don't have to jump through the hoops that maybe rate.com commercial folks would put them through?
I expect it to be, any offer would be contingent on sample soils and all that fun jazz. Engineering and everything is contingent on that. That's a minimum of a 3 to 6 month process. So yeah, let's buy it. Let's do Down Beach Buzz. Let's sponsor it. Let's go put money up. Let's buy it.
Wait, I do want to say, like, normally, look, if my buyers and I do commercial as well, whether it's commercial or residential, if there's contamination, usually that offer is contingent upon closing after you get a no further action letter from the EPA. No further action means it has been cleaned up and nothing else is needed to clean up the site, that it's been cleaned up. And the reason you want to close after that happens as opposed to before, but knowing they're going to pay, is because, like Paul says, like layers of the onions, you start taking the tank out, you find out it's worse than you imagine. So you don't want to buy an unknown, you want to buy a known, and the known would be a clean site, not a site with contamination that they say, oh, we're going to clean it. And then they could say, oh, wow, we only agreed to X amount of dollars, and now this is worse and it's going to cost more. I don't care who the buyer is, and especially the city of Margate. I hope, and look, Scott Abbott is very well versed in real estate deals. I would imagine that part of the contract, maybe didn't say, is that they were not going to close until it's clean. But I don't see any remediation going on. I don't know.
You may want to go up to DownnbeachBUZZ.com and check out the letter of intent. They sent it to me yesterday. So this is the letter that they need to get a signature on it before Jim Rutala, the grant guru, goes up to Trenton and says, hey, we'd like to apply for some of that money. I wonder if this type of takeover of land qualifies for grant money, because that's taxpayer dollars. So we'll get to see soon. But it looks like they still want to buy it, whether they get it or not. That's my guess, based on they're considering bonding for this, which is long-term borrowing.
Yeah, but see, when you read that, it almost seems like buyers shall have 30 days to analyze the status of said environmental condition. It's probably like they didn't even see the report. They're trying to lock it up. They haven't even reviewed the reports yet. They might, after they see the reports, back out, or they might just say,
no mas.
We have, there's contingency up here as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, this is a really interesting story because Sherry Lilienfeld of EXP Realty, how many gas stations are there in the city of Margate or on the Down Beach, in the Down Beach area?
2, and they both stopped selling gas.
Yeah, there you go. I love
they
Sunny
both
Sunoco.
Are just mechanical.
I love Sunny Sunoco.
What?
I love Sunny Sunoco. I miss them.
He was that was my go-to. It's just right down the street from me. But anyway.
All right, let me go to the photograph, the wide shot here. Or is it? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, guys. I missed it. Wrong one. Stay right there. I know it's live.
You want to go to the next one, right? This one?
I want to show this slide. So this gives you an overhead view. Up here on the right-hand side is the gas station that the city wants to buy, knock it down, turn it into a municipal parking lot. That's called Taylor's gas station. And right next to it, across the street, is another really excellent parcel of land sitting there for upwards of 2 years now, the Margate Burger Truck. And they just got in front of the planning board a few nights ago, and their game plan for a mixed-use property got accepted by the Margate Planning Board. Crazy times, this side by side. And when you're next to a gas station, Cher, I hate to stir the pot, but Paul, I know that you don't mind if I do that on occasion.
Keep going.
When you have a gas station that has contamination across the street, do they have to check underneath the burger truck parcel to see if that contamination may have spread?
If you don't, you're not very wise. I tell people, even if they're buying a house that never had an oil tank, because our houses are so close, you should always do an environmental evaluation, because you don't know. Like I told you, if it goes in the water table, it spreads. You can have contamination under your home, and then the responsible party needs to take care of it. And I'm wondering if, I don't see any of those other houses being torn up, but I'm wondering if another house next to it found the oil, and that's why they know that it came from Taylor. I don't know. It's hard to say without actually seeing any work going on and looking at the report myself. But yeah, you should always check. That's part of your due diligence when you buy a property. Especially
now, the owners, we both, and you know personally who the owner is, a doctor with Dr. Pastor, right?
Uh-huh.
And he has a hell of a parcel of land here. Even though some of the businesses were a little shaky here and there, and some of them went out of business, what a great parcel of land. And he's pretty excited, I would assume, that he's going to start building, a mixed residential and then retail. The question comes up, how many empty retail spots are still in effect as of right now, the first week of June here in Margate 2024? Even though we like the idea of mixed use in the CBD, the Central Business District, do you think there might be a glut of retail space that they might get a pop-up business in there, 15 weekends, a summer for the summer season, but in the off season, after Labor Day, a lot of these small businesses just can't hang in there with barely a few thousand people that live here full time?
Yeah, I didn't see that. I don't see that many vacant spaces. Again, this one, same like everything, like buying a home, it's about the price for your retail. I think, you have to be in partnership as an owner. You have to be in partnership with the retail that you have in your building. And because you want them to succeed, you don't want them not to succeed. Because for a couple reasons, you want them to continue being there and paying rent. But if they don't succeed, then the next person is going to be even very leery. So for lots of reasons, you want your retail to succeed and not get too greedy. I had heard some landlords give them different rental rates in the summer versus the winter. But yeah, again, I think if it's priced right, they can be successful. But if they're paying too much, it's not going to work.
Any thoughts on that, Paul, before we wrap things up here? What do you think?
I think you need to change your screen.
You mean that one right there?
I hate that.
I get a little lost. I get a little lost sometimes. Yeah. Any thoughts, Paul?
I'm good. I do agree with Sherry. I think that when we look at that, change is always good.
Before we say goodbye, Cher, do you want to bring anything up? I know that you probably will juice her up, Paul. We might regret it, man.
Yeah, I just want to let people know, especially people in Atlantic City, that Atlantic Shores made what's called a Green Acres diversion request. What that means is Green Acres is protected land. Under the Green Acres program, there's certain protected land in Atlantic City. And part of that is that beachfront land right to the right of the Ritz, right by that park. Then there's also some other protected land that came up in this diversion request. That is Pete Polito Field and the park. Yeah, right there on the right, and then also part of Baderfield. So what Atlantic Shores is requesting is to unprotect all this land that I just mentioned, the beach, the field, the AC Boathouse, Baderfield, and in exchange, protect the bay land that you can't do anything with anyway. That's right off of like Wellington Avenue, like if you go towards Provenza and Acme. And the reason they want to unprotect this land is that's where they're going to bring their cables from offshore to onshore. The massive cable is going to come right there. They also own that parking lot right next to the Ritz condominiums, that big parking lot. So you have to ask yourself, they're going to bring these massive high-powered cables onshore right there. And they're going to have a connection point. They call it a landfall site. You have to ask yourself what they're going to put there right next to the building, the Ritz, which happens to be historic landmark building. Run their cables all up the streets. And in exchange, they're saying, okay, unprotect all this land. And why don't you protect this swamp, bay land that you can't do anything with anyway? People need to get educated. I'm organizing a press conference, trying to get the date firmed up, and that really depends on the speakers. We're going to have 3 speakers, a lot of press there, because people in Atlantic City, Down Beach, you got to understand this issue of wind turbines is not just about people losing their views. It's about public safety and health and losing our beaches and our parks. It's a big deal. Wake up.
And could you imagine the people that live and own inside the Ritz? Why aren't they going crazy and sounding the alarm? I don't think they're even aware of what's coming.
They probably are.
Well, no, interesting thing. When you do something like this, you have to send certified letters to people. And only half the people in the Ritz got those letters. It's very odd. Like half were notified and half weren't. But when you get the letter, you don't understand it. It basically just says, we want to take lots 8, block lot, this, that, and this, and exchange it for this, that, and that. That doesn't mean anything to someone. Like, I literally spent a few hours researching those lots, drawing them, on an aerial view of the Atlantic City to see where these parcels are that they're talking about. And I have access to this information and know what it means, but the average person doesn't. There's no education out there explaining this to people, because then they're going to say, well, we notified you. You could have spoken up, but you didn't. But that notifying, it's all in codes. I'm telling you, I feel like it's, like when you go to the commissioners meeting, we're going to approve ordinance number, blah, blah, blah. And nobody knows what that is.
Hey,
Anyway.
Paul, do you have to get out of here, or
You got to get me off the screen.
Yeah, but I have a little.
I'm out of here.
You're out of here. Okay.
We'll talk, guys. Thank you.
All right, Paul
Thank you,
Scollins,
Paul.
Guarantee Rate.com. Thanks, Paul. So where is Sherry Lilienfeld? Where is she? There she goes. Look at all these beautiful photographs. I wanted to give Paul the opportunity to see everybody fishing the Pier Snack Shack.
Oh, I love that.
It was a hazy day a few days ago.
Nice.
Look how gorgeous the Ventnor Pier is.
It is. They did an amazing job with that.
It's well worth it.
You get great views of the wind turbines from there.
I know. And while you're looking at the wind turbines, you can get a snack, a hot dog, or some Doritos from the Snack Shack. What else do I have?
Can you see Ocean Casino from there? Do you have a picture?
Maybe.
I just want you to pull it up for a minute if you can. I know it's a hazy day, so.
I just wanted to remind people, when I moved here 10 years ago full time, these types of houses were not along the Ventnor Boardwalk. Because if I were to do a zoom in and try to quiz Sherry Lilienfeld, hey, what town am I in? She would probably say Stone Harbor, Avalon, these big, massive houses on big, giant lots. Because Margate has big houses, but they're the lots are not as big as some other towns. But take a look at the lot sizes here along the Ventnor Boardwalk. Mm-hmm. Look at that awesome pier. Very lucky that I have a quick bike ride to get there. Look at some of these homes. When you show people, and oh, do I get angry at these dunes that go way above the lawful
Look at
height?
the houses are so high now. Like, it doesn't even matter.
Well, you know why it does matter? Because there's thousands and tens of thousands of people that walk on the boardwalk, and sit on the boardwalk, and look at a big giant mountain.
That's
And
true.
and so, but I understand what you're saying. But the outer lip of the dune, that was actually put together by Ventnor Public Works many years ago when they were controlling the dune situation. Because when I watched the Army Corps come and re-smooth the dunes or build new dunes, they never build them higher than the top of the railing, which is law, but nobody seems to follow it. This is Mike Cristaldi before he passed, a good guy there from the planning board, a builder. Look at that awesome place that he, I'm pretty sure this is one of his projects. Yeah. But there are some lots, Sherry. Now, Sherry is the master of finding lots for sale. And for some reason, I don't see any for sale sign on this lot at Oxford Avenue. You could do a lot of stuff with this lot, couldn't you, Sherry?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I know. But it's.
I can't comment.
I know.
Research it. But
yes. But anyway.
One more thing. Yeah.
But I'm going through. And so you can see some parts of the boardwalk. You can see the beach. You can see people having a good time with umbrellas. It's a different vibe when you can actually see the ocean from the boardwalk. But it's all different all over the place. And I would hope that the DEP could, address that. Let me go through here real quick, Sharon. And here's, we're in your neighborhood now, Lower Chelsea. The house in the foreground bought the land behind it, or maybe they already had the land and they built on it, putting what's it called, a pool house or an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit. What would you describe that property as?
Huge.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
I don't want to comment because it's a lot.
You think it's too much? Maybe.
I'm not commenting.
What about that beautiful house right there?
Yeah.
You know who that is? You know who helped put that deal together?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was a client of mine, and I found that lot because it wasn't listed. Now,
if you were to show this photograph to somebody who was interested in buying down the shore somewhere, if they looked at this picture, they would go, "Where's that? Where is that?"
Yeah. It's beautiful. And it's Atlantic City. It's gorgeous.
It's Lower Chelsea, yeah.
Lower Chelsea.
Look at that. Look at that beauty. You see that, everybody, right there? That would not be there unless Sherry Lilienfeld was a part of finding this plot of land that wasn't really for sale, but she convinced somebody that, you know what, there's a good buyer here and you might want to cash in. And what a great location this is.
Yeah. All righty.
But you don't
enough
really
with the pictures. Time to rock and roll.
You are full of excitement today.
I have another meeting I have to tend to.
I'm just showing off your property. That's all I'm doing.
It's not my property, but.
And that's the view from that property.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, Char, I know you got to go. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Till next
bye, everybody.
time. Bye.
Bye-bye.